The Sharing of IPS Profile is part of the IHE contribution to the IPS Cross-SDO Collaborative. I'll cover a short introduction to the IPS, document sharing, and the variations supported. I'm John Murky, co-chair of IHE IT Infrastructure Committee and employee of Bylight Consulting. So first up, what is the IPS? IPS is the International Patient Summary. It's a cross-SDO collaborative, bringing together the likes of SEN and ISO to provide the data model and define the IPS content, HL7 giving 2 implementation guides to support the FHIR document or CDA document implementation, and SNOMED International supplying free IPS terminologies. With IHE, we're bringing together the transports, as you'll see, and allowing for rigorous conformance testing. The IPS is a standardized set of basic clinical data, including things like medications and allergies and immunizations and procedures. It is a summarization view of the patient's clinical data. The International Patient Summary is minimal information, not exhaustive. It's a set of clinical data of a patient. It is specialty agnostic, it is condition independent, but it is readily usable by all clinicians for unscheduled cross-border patient care. So next up, I want to give a little bit of background on what IHE document sharing is about. Document sharing is about 20 years in existence, starting with XDS and most recently continuing with FHIR-based transports like MHD. Within that is a common metadata model enabling things like discovery of documents, privacy, identity, lifecycle management of the documents, exchange, and provenance. It is a content agnostic model, so it can easily support things like CDA, but it can also support things like FHIR documents, or DICOM documents, or PDF documents, or even graphics. Within this document model, there is document relationships, things like transforms and signs and replaces. On the right, you see in blue a possible scenario where an EMR produces a FHIR IPS, one of these things we're talking about, but it also produces a set of transforms. So there is a transform of CCDA for those who want to receive a CCDA format instead of the FHIR IPS format. And there can be other formats that are related. And with this transform relationship, it's very clear to the consumer that it's the same semantic content, just in a different syntactic form. There are some special capabilities within document sharing, special entries like on-demand documents or delayed document assemblies, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So the sharing of IPS brings together these two different worlds. On the left are source systems producing IPS content. On the right are recipient systems consuming IPS content. Number one are the various push models that IHE has available within document sharing. Number two are the various publication and or query retrieve models, including the federated model with XCA. And number three is showing the on-demand mechanism that allows a source system to publish that it could make an IPS available on demand, enabling a recipient system to request a freshly made IPS. So in detail, the requirements within the sharing of IPS are quite easy. There's only 4 of them really. The content creators, they must make IPS documents that are conformant to HL7's FHIR IPS implementation guide. Very simply, we're not constraining the HL7 FHIR implementation guide. We're saying we're going to use it as it is. We've defined a format code, so within the metadata, when a consuming application does a query and gets a document entry, it can distinguish document entries that are IPS conformant from those that might be something else. Content creators and content consumers must be grouped with one of the IHE document sharing transports. You saw me describe each one of those. Within that system would publish an integration statement that would explain it supports IPS, it supports sIPS, and it supports XDS or MHD or XDM. And from that integration statement, it can be understood what transports are available. And then finally, a rather light requirement on the content consumers that they have some kind of use of the content. It might just be simply viewing, but it might be importing or some other use case. So next up, we come to the IHE Connectathon. IHE Connectathon is a testing event. It is offered as available to anyone who has implemented profiles from IHE. When you come to the Connectathon, you will be tested as, are you conformant to sIPS? In this case, first we will test, are you creating FHIR IPS compliant content? We would be using the normal validation tool that is used to test FHIR IPS content. Number two, we'll be testing document sharing, and we'll be using the test tools that we've been using for a couple of decades to test document sharing, depending on which of those transports you have grouped with. And then third, we will test that, yes, indeed, your IPS content is communicated over that particular transport. Can it be queried or retrieved or published, or does the push work out as is? We do expect that there will be some higher level use cases. Oftentimes applications come with these higher level use cases. So we will expect that, if you support something like a transfer of care or EMS summary, we can also see that that happens. We do also expect that there will be regional specializations of the IPS content, specialized for Canada or US or Netherlands or Switzerland. So those regional specializations can also be tested. So this was just a quick introduction to sIPS. The sIPS profile can be found at the first link on the page. The International Patient Summary details can be found on the second, and document sharing can be found on the third link. And if you have any further questions, feel free to ask those questions of me through my Gmail address. Thank you.